lovely Sunwalkers, and welcome to another episode of Sitting Down with Soul Writer. I was finally caught by the beast, by a fellow author tuber here, so I was asked to formally introduce myself using the AuthorTube Newbie tag. And even though the creator of it, another Jenna, check the card, is the one who created it. They're not the one who tagged me in it. So let's go ahead and start though. Actually, before we do, I have something to remind you of. Take care of yourself a little bit better every day. Now let's get started. So there's a total of 13 questions that we need to answer. Well, I need to answer, and you just have to listen through me in answering them for you. I'm going to apologize in advance if you hear the sniffles. It's the end of allergy season for me. Keep that in mind. So, out of the 13 questions, the first one does ask, how did you find out about AuthorTube? I've actually taught public school for the last decade, and I've used AuthorTube videos in my classroom. It's been a very, very odd and long journey through watching everyone grow and come and go. 2, what genres do you write in? Personally, I tend to stay in a mix of historical fantasy and paranormal romance. Some people would put me in dark fantasy, and other people might put me in higher epic fantasy. But I tend to definitely consider myself historical fantasy crossed with paranormal romance. Number 3 asks, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category? For writing tense, it's past all the way because I write historical fantasy at current. I doubt that'll change if I switch to contemporary fiction, though. Point of view, I do prefer third. I've dabbled in second in the past with my unpublished works, and I did not enjoy it at all. So I switched back to third. I doubt I'm going back to second. Do not enjoy reading or writing first. As far as category goes, you could find me probably in adult, not YA, most likely, because the Arsinoe Forest Alliance does have that paranormal romance aspect to it. It's more like daily slice of life. I don't have any smut scenes in the books. You need to subscribe to my newsletter to get introduced to those. But at the same time, I tend to consider myself more sword and sorcery. Definitely have the romance, that fantasy romance aspect in there. Question 4 appropriately follows up with asking whether I'm a plotter, a pantster, or a plantster. I consider myself a plotter at heart, but I'm really truly a plantster because I have this French vampire named Frey who thinks he controls the plot and will just go missing. Even if he's not the one in control of the point of view of the chapter, he will just up and go missing for almost an entire act. Thanks, Frey. Book 2, 3, and 4 got so disorganized because of that. It worked for the better. Anyway, question number 5. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I do have many works that are yet to be published, but at current and proudly, I am self-published indie. I would probably have... If the opportunity to turn trad happened, it would depend on what the contract says. Because I'm definitely going to want to stay with my current editor and current artist. If you don't take them, I'm sorry. I don't really want to work with anybody else. 6 asks, what publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by or used? So I am currently indie and publishing only through Amazon. I'm going to expand my horizons. I've only been published since February of 2021. I have plenty of time and lots to catch up on. I'm quite aware I have plenty of time and lots to catch up on. I would love it if one of the big five reached out to me with the dream contract. What author wouldn't? But again, there are conditions, including I get to keep my current editor and artist. I adore working with Catherine Black of Best Book Editors. I would not keep writing sometimes if it were not for her and the encouragement that also my artist, Sun Proa Arts, gives. Thank you both so much for your input into my creative world. I would love to take you along for the ride if I go phenom. Don't get your hopes up. Anyway, be lovely. It would be lovely. Let's get real. So, what AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? This channel does a little bit of everything. I tend to stay in podcast mode on this channel, it seems. The series we're doing right now, Sitting Down with Soul Writer, tends to be where I talk with you all one on one, or I actually have a person in the room with me. So far, because of lockdown, the only person you've seen in the room with me has been my cheesecake man husband, to be fair, but I do hope to expand upon that in the future. There's also my Listening to the Voices in Our Heads podcast, where I sit down with different creative minds and talk about their, well, creative process. So far to date, I've talked to a game master or dungeon master for tabletop gaming, Yubaka of Emerald Company Gaming to be specific, and the Tampa Bay Role Players. Check both out on Twitch. I've sat down, of course, with Catherine Black, my editor. I'm planning to sit down with Sun Troa in the near future. I've talked to many authors whom are teachers or teachers who became authors as well, and just a plethora of things to offer from tips in editing, writing, how to survive lockdown as a writer. We've covered so many topics in that series, and I would actually like to see Listening to the Voices in Our Heads grow exponentially. I am looking for more creative mindsets to join me on that. So if anybody's interested, please email me, contact me. Find the links of where to sign up on my Facebook and my Instagram, because that's where you're going to find that stuff. The next question asks, when did I start writing? I've actually been writing since I was about 13, 14 years old, and I'm in my 30s now, so 15 plus years. It started out as writing stage plays that quickly morphed into writing longer term short stories and even then novels. And I wrote fan fiction. I know, dirty word, fan fiction as a teenager for years, and that very much helped me to explore my writing voice and become a stronger writer in general. Here lately, I find that I'm getting into poetry a lot. I, of course, was an English major at one point in college and have my bachelor's in English literature, of all things. So I did a lot of essay writing, as you can imagine, and I'm also writing my memoirs in the background now and writing some poetry, and I do so much writing because I started young and I started early. I think the more important aspect to that is I started reading even earlier. I started reading at like the age of 3. I kid you not. And that's just because my parents read in front of me. Dad tended to read the newspaper, auto magazines, manuals on carpentry and electricity and stuff to fix the house and remind him how to do things to code. So even just seeing him read that nonfiction stuff emphasized my love of reading in general because, like my mother, I tended to read fiction. I tend to read fantasy as well, which neither of them read, but you can see where they cultivated a love of reading in general, and it stuck with me for the rest of my life and it turned into writing. The next question, number 9, asks, what was the first story I ever wrote? What was the first? The first story I ever wrote was probably the original character backstory that eventually inspired the character you all know in the Arsinoe Force Alliance to be Harumi. I have said in past videos, Neftiri has been in my brain since about 2003 circa. Harumi was originally another character by a different name, but her general concept and likeness goes probably as far back as middle school when I first came from writing the stage plays into short stories and novels. So, Yeah, someone of her likeness has been around in my head forever, and her background story is still kind of the same. I'm not going to give it away because it's a big part and spoilery for upcoming books I haven't written yet. Keep that in mind. Question number 10 asks, what authors have inspired my writing the most? Good thing I came prepared, children, for this one. Let's get real. I do talk about writing a lot of fantasy novels, so there's some logical explanations behind my love of fantasy, okay? Now, mind you, for this one, I've read all the books to date. I've not seen all of what has aired for this show. I really don't want to watch more of the show. I love these so much. One of my students, whom recently got married to his high school sweetheart, uh, used to carry these books around, and my husband was reading them for a long time, and just slowly over time, I've made my way through them. That's actually my husband's copy. Shh. Um, it goes without saying that there is one major influence on my life when it comes to inspiration. I mean, I am the lady nerd. Why wouldn't I have this version? I'm doing another reread. I am all the way in the beginning. I just started, to be fair. Yeah, I'm still in the prologue. I just started the other day. So, this is the 3-book compilation. This is my favorite rendition of The Lord of the Rings, and that's only because it's the most durable rendition I've owned with all 3 of them together. But I can fit it in a nice size purse. Like I carry a purse anymore. One moment. Anyway, um, there's another author I've mentioned a couple times. Of course, I've read book 1. It's the one that got me hooked. I am a gamer, anime, 90s kid nerd, and Ernest Cline feeds that in me and crosses it over in so many ways. He's the reason why, as a writer, I try to reference all the things in my writing. In book 1 of the Arsinoe Forest Alliance, Bound by Fate and Blood, there's like 300 plus references. There's more references than there are pages in my first book. Not so true with book 2. I kind of backed off a little bit, not intentionally. But it's this author's fault that I like being the references queen. Also, I was an English major, go figure. And then, of course, some of you are going, wait a minute. Where's the love of the paranormal romance come in? You've gone for 3 male of all things, 3 male of all things writers, and none of them do vampires and werewolves. What the? Does it make sense now? Some people have seen on my Facebook and my Instagram that I'm reworking my way back through the Black Dagger Brotherhood again from the beginning. This is book 2, Rage's book, one of my favorites. As you can tell, much loved on. I've had this copy since it first came out in 2006, I think it's dated. Yeah, this is one of the second or third run paperbacks, probably. It's mangled. I carried it all throughout college years, on campus, swapped it out with friends, got a bunch of people into it with me at work, and both Wrath and Rage have been, this is going to sound horrible, Wrath and Rage have been passed around to quite a few female hands, and as you can tell, the love is real. um, the warden gave me permission as a writer to be true to my own inner voice. She is so sarcastic and brutally honest with her characters. Even if she's writing as a male or a female, it doesn't matter. She is so snarky and truthful, and I love it. And whenever the real snark and true humor comes out of me, it's normally because I'm channeling her in my mind. And those are the authors in my mind that I think I contend with. The next question asks, do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? Yes, is the correct answer for that one, sadly. Ugh. Don't fall over, Tolkien, please. I am a bullet journaler. I am very type A. If it doesn't go in my planner, it doesn't get done. Literally is what I tell people. So I do like to plot, but unfortunately, characters like Frey get in the way. Um, and therefore, middle of the night, I'll wake up and want to write. We'll be out in the grocery store and I'll have an idea and I got to write it down. So I try to write at least an hour a day. And I try to hit 1,000 words within that hour. I type 100+ words a minute. I'll get into that more here in a second. So it really does benefit me to be able to slam out a lot of words, but I'm also windy. So yeah, I'm really trying to refine my process so it doesn't take so long for me to complete a book. 12 asks, do you type on a computer, typewriter, or everything out by hand, or a combination, and where do I write in general? What you're looking at is my writing space. It's currently my office space because my actual office is full of boxes as we're trying to find a place to move. But at the same time, I do prefer typing on a computer. Like I said a minute ago, do write 100+ words a minute at like 98% accuracy. I am extremely long-winded though, so editing is a nightmare. But I have a degree in secretarial sciences and office technologies for business office management. So basically, it's an associate's degree that allows me to be an administrative or an executive assistant. I did that in 2008. Everything went to and couldn't find a job. So I went back to school and got my bachelor's in English. I never lost many of my computer skills that I gained when I did that associate's degree. So for anybody out there who is unsure of what you want to do not spend money on a 4-year college that you will regret later. Go to a trade school or 2-year school and see if college is for you by taking it one semester at a time that way. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize do a year of general studies at a 2-year university saves you thousands. And usually the credits transfer. Takes a little bit of extra reading and paperwork. Save yourself the money. Anyway, last question, lucky number 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're officially a part of AuthorTube? Well, continuing my journey, I really do want to build up my Listening to the Voices in Our Heads podcast. I have several of my fiction in 5 book review series that I do slated because I'm ending the summer season and opening the fall within a 4-week span, believe it or not, because I'm a little behind. Thanks, start of the school year and editing book 2. Anyway, what else do I have in my journal? I have a pronunciation video I need to film for the glossary in my books. I have a battle writing demo video I need to re-record for the 8th time because it tech issues. Anyway, but that's generally about me. I think I rambled on far more than this video intended me to. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready and sign off here with that being the last and best question. So thank you all my lovelies for joining me today. And as I always try to remind you, take better care of yourselves a little more each day. You are worth it. Take care. Bye.